Hey, what's up, everybody? Kevin here for Turn 1 Soul Ring. Please remember to rate, review, and comment on our content wherever you listen to the show. It really helps us out. We appreciate each and every one of you. Now let's get to the show.
Turn 1 Soul Ring.
We might have talked about this on the show before, but do you have a dress code at work?
Yes.
No jeans?
Yeah.
Is that what else?
Possibly.
If there no blue jeans.
I don't really remember the full dress code because like my previous job had a dress code and I just adhered to that one, and this one, that job was like higher brow than what this is. So
Yeah, it's pretty low brow for sure. Yeah, for sure. Are you guys still selling a lot of copies of Jedi Fallen Order?
I think that's slowed down.
But it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, I think even like digitally and stuff, it's like big.
I hope they keep those games coming. Those like story-driven.
There's supposed to be another one this year.
Yeah, well, good because
Yeah, I hope it's good because apparently the rumors were like the company that was working on was making an open world game, and then because Jedi Fallen Order did so well, they're like, make it more linear and story-driven. So they're taking this game and now changing it while it's partway through development. So we'll see.
Apparently, there's also, yeah, of course. Apparently, there's also a game in the works called Magic Legends.
Yes,
that's like a Diablo, like a hack and slash type game.
Yeah, we actually haven't talked about that at all. I watched gameplay for it and stuff.
Yeah, and it's still in pre-alpha.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, so
it'll be a while.
Graphically, like, doesn't look so good at the moment, of course, but it's like in pre-alpha and stuff. But it looks like the gameplay is a lot like for anyone who's played Diablo before. It's like a top-down hack and slash kind of game.
Yeah,
but now you get to play as a wizard, and then you actually do still pick out cards because they're like spells,
right?
And then so you can equip those, and like those are like the spells you'll be using in the game. So and like you can have, it's cool because then like they were showing a character that used like blue and white, and so you have like a mana bar, and like each one has its own certain amount that you can use from each like bar for the colors of cards that you have.
Yeah,
so you can have multiple. So you can have a blue mage that uses like blue and white cards and stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's very cool.
So it looks interesting.
Yeah, I've never played a ton of Diablo, but what I have played is a lot of fun, and even that aspect of like a quasi RPG type of game where you get experience points and you can upgrade certain abilities, right? Like the Star Wars The Force Awakens, not The Force Awakens, The Force Unleashed was sort of like that from that aspect.
Yeah,
but those games are always a ton of fun. Especially when you can do it online with all your friends.
Exactly. So that's what this Magic Legends is supposed to be kind of like. So,
well, yeah, it's perfect that we're talking about video games because this is Turn 1 Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And today on the show, we are going to be talking about some of the recent announcements that WotC has made.
Yeah. So there's a few we want to talk about here. So, including stuff about Magic Arena and other things.
You got a mixed bag today for a Friday show.
Ka-chink, ka-chink, ka-chink.
Yeah. So before we get to the main topic, Eric, how can listeners get in touch with us?
To all our listeners, you can always find us at Turn 1 Soaring the podcast on Instagram. You can find us at Turn 1 Soaring the podcast at gmail.com. And you can also find us over on YouTube by searching Turn 1 Soul Ring, the podcast. Yeah,
if you search just Turn 1 Soul Ring, you're going to get somebody else. But we don't talk about him.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure he's a perfectly pleasant individual.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we should just get right into it.
Let's get into what we got to talk about here.
Yeah, WotC's been doing things as they're wont to do. So first up, this is like the most recent news we have to talk about today, I believe, is they posted something today called changes to Magic's competitive season and event schedule.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you've heard about the coronavirus, COVID-19. Mm-hmm. It's pretty serious.
Bad.
Yep. It's a pandemic, everybody. Yeah. So I don't want to scare you, but, if you're not old, you don't have to be too scared about it, but wash your hands. Just, don't put too much strain on the healthcare system.
Exactly.
Wherever you are, just keep your hands clean. Don't touch your face. I know it's hard. I touch my face a lot, so get the hand sanitizer. But anyways, I was really surprised by this announcement because it's so much. So they're canceling the Players Tour finals in Houston and shifting those invites. They're rescheduling and relocating the upcoming round of regional Players Tour events. They're adding an online regional Players Tour event option for players who are not able or who choose not to attend an in-person regional Players Tour. So that's nice.
That's always good.
And they're canceling the Mythic Invitational originally scheduled for May. And what's really nice is they'll be providing travel reimbursements to qualified players with non-refundable, non-transferable flights to the impacted Players Tour, the Players Tour finals, and Mythic Invitational events. All invited players will receive an email next week with details on how to apply.
That is awesome that they're doing that.
That's really great because they don't have to do that.
No, they don't have to.
Yeah, that is a really good. That's a good
It's
move.
a good service to the players and stuff, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, and so they have like given new dates for some of these things, just like a few months down the road. Hopefully, things won't be as crazy as they are now.
Yeah, and the cases around the world are increasing in the countries that are affected, but the cases in China over the past few days have been decreasing. So, and that's where it's like the worst. If you look at one of those maps with like the red,
That's where it all started, and like that's
like that's where like I think over 80,000 cases. So the very much the bulk of it, but they're handling it, and I think that bodes well for the rest of the world.
Yeah, and obviously if they are showing they're handling it, it's going down. If we just take this seriously and don't
follow suit,
yeah.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then it certainly doesn't need to get as like our movement and the way that we live our lives doesn't have to get as strict as it's gotten in other places. Which, I don't think any of us want that.
No, and if any of you are affected by this in those ways, like I hope everyone out there is doing well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I know like a lot of places have gotten like shut down and stuff. Especially in the UK, they've been having a lot of things like that. So
yeah, and like the airlines aren't doing well, and like it sucks.
Starting to hit the States too, where they're shutting down airlines and stuff. So
absolutely, yeah. It's serious.
Yeah,
but they are handling it. But going forward with this Magic announcement, they are also they announced that the cancellation of all Magic Fest through mid-April.
Yeah,
that's big. That's a lot of money. Like people have already bought flights
and all that kind of stuff.
Hotels.
Yeah,
they bought cards to play with. Like that's big, and they're looking to reschedule those events for later in the year. And I'm sure they will, and I have no doubt that this will be dealt with, and we will go back to life as usual. Just
exactly.
Nobody panic.
And like, sure, it sucks in one way, but it is good that they are seeing that this is a problem, and we want to get it taken care of so it doesn't like spread like ridiculous. So,
so that we can have Magic Fests.
Yeah.
So they're like we said, they're canceling the Players Tour finals, which was supposed to be held in Houston from April 24th to 26th. They're also any players that were invited to Houston will be invited to the already scheduled finals scheduled for Minneapolis in July. That's July 9th to 12th. The event will be larger and will award more prize money to accommodate the larger field of play, and they will have more details on this in the coming weeks.
Cool.
Yeah. So they're just they're rescheduling the Players Tour events, like we said.
Yeah, it looks like the Mythic's being rescheduled for July 23rd.
Yeah. Which is that seems like a reasonable time frame.
Yeah.
And like we said, the players' travel reimbursement, very very nice, very nice. And they sort of end this announcement saying that this is a developing situation, and so they've put these dates forward for rescheduling events, but these aren't set in stone. So if you are buying airfare or accommodations, just kind of double down, or I don't know if that's the right turn of phrase, but try to get travel insurance or things where you can get reimbursed. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I would do. But yeah, this was like it's just so fast, and like just like Eric and I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's capital city.
Woo!
And we just had our first confirmed case today.
Yeah, actually.
March 12th. So that's kind of alarming, but there's just for most of us, you just kind of be out of commission for a couple weeks. So it's not a big deal. And even what's kind of cool is the federal government, part of their financial plan to deal with this is that normally with EI, there's like a 1 week sort of waiting period that you wouldn't get paid for if you went on unemployment insurance. And they're waiving that for people that have to be quarantined or go into self-quarantine, self-isolation. So that's nice.
That's always nice too.
Doesn't really cover people that don't have access to employment insurance, but
it's just nice that like also like government seeing like we know this is like a big thing, so we're just here to work with you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we pay their salaries, right? So
that's true.
We're kind of the boss. Like we're like the prime ministers.
That's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty silly. Oh, it feels good to laugh again, though. That was some pretty serious stuff. But let's move on to the BNR announcement from this past Monday.
Yeah, so March 9th, there was a new BNR announcement, and there's a decent amount of changes.
Yeah, so what we got some banned cards, we got some suspended cards. Can you read off this list, Eric?
Yeah, let's just go off the list quickly here. First of all, in Brawl, we have Golos, Tyler's Pilgrim banned.
Oh, I was gonna build a Golos deck.
It's so good.
Oh man, no, I have no one to play with though.
Yeah. And then in Historic, there's two things here because cards have been moved from suspended to banned, which is Oko, Thief Crowns, Once Upon a Time, and Veil of Summer. And then from suspended to legal is Feel of the Dead, so that's coming back to as a legal card.
I was surprised by that.
Me too.
That's just like that they didn't just ban it straight up.
Yeah, because Golos is still viable in Historic, so see how that goes. And then in Legacy, we have Underworld Breach, which is banned, and then in Modern, Once Upon a Time is banned.
Ooh, another nail in the coffin of Throne of Eldraine. Yeah, so I actually had to look up what suspended was for Historic, and basically the way it works is like quarterly or whenever they do these BNR announcements, because we don't know when they do BNR announcements anymore, which is always fun.
Surprise!
They do give us notice when they say, hey, we're going to do a BNR announcement in a week, but otherwise it's all up in the air. So this is the way suspended works is if it's suspended for a period of time, they do an announcement, a card is suspended, and then at the next announcement, it's my understanding that they either have to legalize the card, put it back into play, or ban it. They won't just repeatedly keep a card on the suspension list.
And I think for a format like Historic, that can work.
Yes.
Because they can see a problem right away and be like, all right, let's just get rid of it. But because they're adding in selections of cards into this format, which has never really happened before.
Yeah. Yeah, and they talk about that in the explanation. And because Historic is almost it's like as truly digital as Magic has ever gotten.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because they never had a format which is expanding in this kind of way and stuff. So this is a good way, I think, of doing something like this. Just being like, this is a problem card, let's get rid of it for now, but it's not banned forever. And it's better than being like, this card's banned, this card's unbanned, this card's banned, this card's unbanned.
Absolutely, yeah. And they'll suspend it, and then they'll introduce new cards to the Historic format to see if the metagame can adjust for that. Yeah. And then they can decide if they want to reintroduce it or ban it.
Or ban it. So that's what we're seeing here. So
yeah, so
hopefully it works out.
Yeah. So apparently with Golos, it was representing 10% of the playing field as a commander. Yeah. And that makes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it made Golos twice as popular as the next most popular Brawl commander. And they said that's not inherently a problem, but the 5-color identity that Golos has also circumvents deck building restrictions that most other Brawl decks need to work within. So you could just, whatever you needed to put in the deck, you could put into the deck.
You just play 5-color whatever. Once you get Golos, he always tutors out a land for you, so he always makes himself cheaper. And then his ability is just all 5 colors and some extra mana to get cards out of your deck for free.
He really does pay for himself.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So it's just I understand why they would do this. But like Riley has a Golos Tireless Pilgrim deck, and it seems like a lot of fun to play.
Does he have a brawl?
It's a commander deck.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Maze's End as the finisher. Yeah,
Right.
can't play that in Brawl.
No.
So moving on to historic. Have you been playing a lot of historic these days, Eric?
Nope.
Nope, not playing historic.
Yeah, I did dive in once it came around, and was interested by it, but still, like, I still felt like the format didn't have too much different about it than what our current standard had. Like, I know there's 25 extra cards. You do see some other deck archetypes out there, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see how, because we have Historic Anthology 2 coming up, and they talk about in this announcement, part of that list of cards is Ghost Quarter and Goblin Ruin Blaster to potentially deal with Field of the Dead when they decide whether or not they want to reintroduce the card into the format.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see with each historic anthology how the format changes and how long it's going to take before it feels different from standard, different enough, more like an eternal format, even though that's not what it is.
It's a weird eternal format because
Yeah.
they can put any card technically they want into it. So
Yeah, they really can, hey?
They
It's
can. That's what the idea
It's like
is.
magical Christmas land.
Yeah.
It would be so much fun to make those historic anthology lists.
Yeah.
And like be the architect of
what
the
you're
format.
adding in and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it is. Like however you feel about historic or Magic Arena in general, this is a very it's a very unprecedented type of format.
very much.
Yeah.
I think for any like card game too, because of how many cards are being put in every single time, and you're like selecting from this massive card pool of cards.
Yeah. And it's almost like I think the next most similar thing would be like the Commander product that we get every year, even though we have such a huge pool of cards to play with, like almost
Yeah.
the entire history of Magic. But they release, about 50 new cards for this one format. I mean, those cards are also legal in Legacy and Vintage and the truly eternal formats. And, that's a good thing. But, they really can print these sometimes incredibly powerful cards that can sort of break those formats.
Yeah.
But, and most of the time in Commander, they're not that game breaking. But it's just, it is a very interesting way to introduce cards and like mold a format.
It's very interesting, especially for Legacy and Vintage, where we have a Commander product and we have cards that are made for Commander, but then in those two Eternal formats, you can still play those cards that were printed in quotations for Commander, right? So, and then sometimes you see things like True Name Nemesis, where it's like, wow, in a 1v1 format, this is kind of a broken card.
Yeah, and like how much are the designers considering that?
Exactly. And I think like the way to look at it is really try not to worry about those formats because we want to have fun stuff for Commander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing too with the Jumpstart set in the summer. That the reprints from that set are also going to be legal in only the Eternal formats.
Correct. Yeah.
So, yeah, I wonder if we'll have any Legacy or Vintage shenanigans from that.
Yeah. Who knows?
We will see.
Yeah. And the interesting part about Commander as well is because a lot of the times you do have bigger, splashier spells, and like Legacy Vintage doesn't see you playing those higher CMC stuff very often. So
You can definitely assume that those cards won't see play.
exactly.
Yeah. So, moving on to Modern.
This one's interesting.
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised it took this long
Yeah. That's fair.
because I thought this would get banned. I'm surprised it took so long for Oko to get banned, certainly in Standard, but it's a free spell.
It is a free spell.
I started with 2 of these in my Tron deck, main decking them, and I had 4 by the time this banning came around. It's just so good.
It is. Yeah, I even picked up 3 from my Tron deck because, like, it's a good card.
It's nuts. Even when you have to hard cast it, it's still good.
It's 2 mana and you dig 5 deep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just
I think that's still good.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. I think this makes complete sense. Like, don't give people free spells.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just and they talk about it. It poses a design constraints because in creature and land based decks, it just makes it so consistent to get exactly what you need.
Oh yeah, super consistent, because then you have this like extra card that's going to get you a creature or a land.
Like
That's like what you see the card as.
I've kept, this was wrong, but I kept no land hands because I had it once upon a time, and you play it on turn 0 and you're like, okay, I'm gonna win or lose this game right here.
That's ballsy.
But yeah, it's just like it makes perfect sense to me that they would ban this card. And the thing is, financially, it's not taking a huge hit because it was already banned in standard.
Yeah, exactly.
At one time this card was around $25-$30, and who knows what it's going to cost now. I don't know where it's still legal in Legacy and Vintage, right?
Yep.
It can see play there. Certainly much worse in Commander.
Much worse, because the big benefit is being able to cast it for free. How often you can have it in your opening hand. Mm-hmm. But still, 2 mana to dig 5 deep isn't like the worst thing. So
no, absolutely not. And you can hit it's a creature or a land that you can reveal. And you have things like Ancient Stirrings, which is 1 mana to dig 5 deep. It's a little more constrained with what you can reveal.
Yeah.
But in the right deck, like Tron, most of the pieces are colorless. So it's not the same thing. And I mean, remember when for the longest time Ancient Stirrings was on the ban horizon?
People were always talking about it.
And now it's, nobody talks about
fine.
it. Yeah, it's totally fine. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Legacy banning. We had Underworld Breach, brand new card. I'm surprised. I'm both surprised and not surprised that this was banned. I'm surprised because it's such a new card.
Sure, that's fair.
Yeah.
But it is in an eternal format, which obviously is less played than the other formats we've just been talking about.
Legacy isn't selling packs.
No.
Yes.
I love this card too, Underworld Breach, and I thought it could see some broken stuff. And
for sure.
Legacy being such an older format makes sense as to how it was.
Yeah.
Some of the big things they talk about is like Underworld Breach with like LED, which is Lion's Eye Diamond,
mm-hmm.
and Brain Freeze. The crazy part about how Underworld Breach works is that you can continually cast the spell out of your graveyard, just if you have enough spells to exile.
Yeah, because when they resolve, they go back to your graveyard, like any other spell. Something like Yawgmoth's Will, you can only do it once.
Exactly. So
it's a little more.
That's why it made.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Yawgmoth's Will is like the fair version
of Underworld Breach, and that's the newer card. Yeah. So I understand why I can see that card gone.
Yeah, and they said that rather than allowing these decks to become a large part of the competitive metagame before likely still needing to make a change in the near future, they chose to just ban it now.
Yeah, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I'd prefer that.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than it's like
how Wrenn and 6 ran rampant for a while in Legacy,
or how what Hogak did in Modern. They should have banned that much faster.
Yeah,
than they did, and. Yeah, but still, just a great card.
Great card.
Love Underworld Breach.
If you don't have one, pick one up.
Yeah.
It's good in Commander.
They've never been cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Do we want to touch on Pioneer at all? Or?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we've talked about what was banned. I think it's important to also talk about what wasn't banned.
Yeah, and I do like what they're doing here with Pioneer. They are saying, like, we're watching the format. This is what's happening in the format. We understand. We just didn't want to do anything banning wise at the moment.
What I really like is that not only are they concerned with the data from like gameplay data, but they're also concerned with basically players complaining about having to play against certain decks, which is nice. Like, it sounds a little bit silly, but it is nice that it's like, hey, I don't like this play experience.
Yeah.
Because
this is the game I like to play.
That's a huge part of it, right? Like that's everything.
Yeah.
So that's nice that they're taking that seriously. But yes, they do say that they're aware of the Dimir Inverter deck, the Lotus Breach deck, and the Helioid Sun Crowned and Walking Ballista combo. But that last one hasn't really proven itself.
Yeah, because it's been here for a month?
At least a month.
Yeah, at the moment. And it's just showing that like it can still win out of nowhere, but also the deck itself has other like ways for itself to win, and so it is more varied than just like a straight up combo deck where you go for the combo and win, boom, win.
Right, and part of the reason or part of the factor in a banning is how homogenous the play style is and the play patterns are of a particular deck or a particular strategy. So when you have something like the Heliod Suncrown Walking Ballista combo, the deck has other ways to win, and it's not always the same thing.
Exactly.
And that's, as a player, I think we can all agree that that's preferable. Combos are all well and good, but it gets a little boring piloting that or playing against it.
Yeah, for
too many
sure.
times. They have some data here that Dimir Inverter has had a 49% non-mirror match win rate and has unfavorable matchups against 5 of the other 10 most played decks. And that's data from the last 2 weeks of MTGO leagues, which is kind of an interesting time period. Like, doesn't seem like a long time. It seems almost like if you gave that a little more time, that percentage might be higher, might be lower. But I'm sort of leaning towards the fact that it might be
They're
higher.
just showing like how popular it was in the past like 2 weeks.
Yes, they are. Yeah. And the Lotus Breach decks were at an even lower win rate. And both decks were had a lower win rate, especially after sideboarding.
Yeah.
Post sideboarding. So you can really hate out these decks.
Yeah, totally. So again,
yeah.
it's nice that they're saying all this kind of stuff about the Pioneer, and they are watching it. And
Yep.
it sounds like those combo decks, like it may suck to just like lose right away, but you do still have chances against them.
Yeah, I mean, one could also make the argument that it's, if I'm gonna lose, let's just do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because then I can, then I can go, get something to eat before the next match or whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
So with all this this whole thing about Pioneer, they've also said that they are hoping to not make any changes until after the Players Tour Finals in Houston in late April. So this announcement was from Monday of this week, March 9th, and the announcement we talked about previously was from
today. Yeah.
So obviously the Houston Pro Tour Finals aren't going to happen in late April, so we might get a BNR announcement before whenever the Players Tour Final actually happens.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I think they wanted to see some gameplay
Yes.
to make a decision, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. We'll see what happens.
We sure will. All right, so let's move on to Secret Lair.
Something that is a news thing that we seem to always have to talk about.
Well,
Because
there's always doing the secret layers.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for a secret layer that is for Kevin.
Slivers.
Yes, do the oh no, Sliver Queen's reserve list. I would love if they did a OG foil Sliver Queen with the star. I'd get that. If that was one secret layer for $49.99, that's a good price.
Sure.
When Sliver Queen is she's over 100.
What if they just did some other key slivers?
That'd be cool.
No queens.
Queens.
No 5 colors.
No 5 colors.
No
Yeah,
5
colors.
colors.
They could do that. That'd be fun. Most of the slivers in my deck are foiled out, but that could be fun. I also like wizards.
Yeah.
I'd do maybe one that's more lands. Do some 5 color lands.
Ooh, yeah.
Or some commander. Some
That'd be
commander
kinda nice.
you could do Command Tower, Mana Confluence,
Yeah.
City of Brass.
That'd be a cool one.
Forbidden Orchard definitely needs a
Ooh,
reprint.
Yeah.
That's a card that should not cost that much. Throw Exotic Orchard in there. Why not?
Why not?
It's a worse Forbidden Orchard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reflecting Pool.
Reflecting Pool's a good one.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Wow, we could work at Wizards.
Yeah. And then just maybe even throw in Nyx.
Nykthos. Trying to
there we
Nyx.
go. Yeah.
For
Shrine
sure.
Nyx.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, and that'd be and the Nykthos and Mana Confluence would be great for the Pioneer players
There you go.
because those cards have spiked quite a bit.
Yes, they
I
have.
remember buying Mana Confluences for $5.99.
Ooh. And I was getting the Shrine to Nyx was $9-10.
It was, yeah. I remember when it went up to $11, and I'm like, "What? What is this?" This used to be a
CAD
$9
prices, by the way.
card. Yeah, I was just shocked and appalled. Okay, so so the Secret Lair drop series. Last week they did the International Women's one,
Day. Yeah.
and then today. So by the time you hear this,
You won't be able to buy it anymore.
I won't be able to buy it anymore. It's just today for the Thalia Secret Lair. And the Thalia Secret Lair is a playset, which I like, but I'm not crazy about the fact that they're all different arts. And I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. What do you think about that, Eric?
I actually picked up the
Seeing Visions.
so I did get one of these.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. It's a playset of a relatively heavily
Visions.
played card.
Yeah.
In a constructed format, and they all have different arts.
They do. I think I was just really hooked on how the arts looked
Yeah,
on the Seeing Visions.
me too. I was more excited for that than I am for the Thalia art.
Yeah, because these ones are kind of like they're okay.
And I think too,
Yeah.
I think both of us have more. I think we both feel more strongly about the cards Serum Visions than either of us feel about Thalia.
Yeah.
Like I don't think either of us have ever been big like tax players.
No, I've never played it. I've definitely played against it and hate it.
Me too. Hated every minute of it. Didn't hate the player though.
Yeah.
But yes, like both of us do like a good cantrip. It just feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting through the deck. So
Yeah, that could be part of it too. That it's just not a card that either of us are excited about.
yeah, because like our friend Rylan, he was excited about this one. So
Yes.
he might be picking it up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And the International Women's Day one, like that one sold really well, and that's all well and good, and is in terms of value, even though they upped the price because they said they are donating half of it to charity.
Yeah.
Before we started recording today, Eric and I were looking up both the foil prices and the non-foil prices of the 5 legendary creatures that are in the International Women's Day Secret Lair, and you are getting good value
For what it is.
for even like the non-foil prices.
Right.
Because
Like if you're looking at picking these cards up in non-foil.
and like Captain Sisse in the original foil was close to $70 USD, somewhere in there for a near mint copy. So obviously that's not the same card. It doesn't have the same collectability. That Captain Sisse isn't worth anywhere near that much in the Secret Lair, but you are still getting, a foil Captain Sisse.
Totally. One thing I actually noticed was at the end of this one, to capture these moments, we called on Magali and Johans, the 2 artists who know Thalia best. So they got people who actually drew her before this time. Yeah, so that's neat.
Yeah, I wonder what, I think my favorite art would probably be like I don't know. I like the one that's just her. It's like the bottom right. I know that doesn't really narrow it down at all, but it looks a little more like a manga or an anime drawing.
Is the one where she's like looking off, like kind of up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I
really like that one. And I also like the one where she has the ghost behind her.
Yes. I think that's the Geist of Saint Traft.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a cool little nod there.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, and I think I was listening to the MTG Goldfish podcast, and they were talking about how, like Seth was saying, how Secret Lairs in general are fine, but the ones that are play sets of cards that see play in constructed formats, I think he said that those are potentially especially bad for local game stores.
Yes. That does make sense.
Yeah, and I think products like this are bad for local game stores, like they're being cut out of the supply chain purposefully. And, however you feel about that, fine. But I think that just being the devil's advocate here, and I think I've said this on the show before, but, without an MSRP on products from Wizards, if these were available at local game stores, we would have local game stores with proprietors that would sell these at very much above what you would be able to buy them on Wizards' website for, or Hasbro's website. So
Like definitely if you're checking out the Women's Day one, for example, they would probably put the price of that one up higher.
yeah, so I remember seeing that from the vaults, even the unsanctioned product. I've seen that at local game stores around the city at it was, they said it would be $39.99 USD, and I've seen it as much as $80.
Yeah.
So, and that's Canadian, so there's an exchange rate, but that's still high.
Yeah, it's still high for what it should be.
So, yeah, I do, I would definitely pick up a Secret Lair if there was one that I really wanted. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think it's a fine product. But something else, I was watching one of the professor's videos earlier this week, and he was talking about the International Women's Day one, and he was like pricing it. It was like an "Is it worth it?" video.
Yeah.
That he does. Love those videos. And he was talking about how they do so many like promos and foils and alternate art and full bordered box topper type of cards now, and there's all these different versions of cards we can get. And what could potentially happen is that we have all this exciting new bling, and when that happens, does the original foil printing of these cards become the blingiest thing we can put into our decks? I don't know.
I think that goes both ways depending on what kind of Magic player you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think for the both of us, we kind of like the get that old because that one's harder to find in certain ways. I think with the Secret Lairs, we have a really weird situation here where they're only printing to the order of them. So depending on how many of us, the consumers, decide to buy of this product, is how many of this card is actually floating out there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is different compared to the cards being straight up printed in a set.
And it's almost like they're creating the collectability.
Yeah.
By only selling it for this short, finite period of time.
Yeah, you only get this 24-hour period. Buy it now, or just not.
Yeah, and after we move on from Secret Lairs, we're going to talk about the Mystery Booster foil list, and I think a good segue is that this foil list has cards that are, for all intents and purposes, being reprinted, looking almost exactly as they were when they were originally printed.
Which, again, we've never had before, because if you have those old border foils, they're being printed like that.
Yeah, and even in like new border foil, modern bordered foils, the original is often, if not always, more valuable.
Yes.
So there's something to that original printing, right? Like we talk about like reprints, and it's almost a bad word.
For some reason.
For some reason, not from it's like I love reprints. We both love reprints because they lower the price. But
how did you get a Bloom Tender for $10? Like
I think they'd have to print it at Uncommon to be $10. But there's something there is something intangible about the original thing, whatever it is. It's like Emperor Palpatine, right? Like he's had all those clone bodies, so it doesn't have that oomph, but that original Palpatine, it's unlimited power.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what you have
nothing matches that.
No, nothing. And that's what you have with that original bordered invasion printing of Captain Sisay.
There you go.
Which is why it's, like $70. But yeah, let's move on to the Mystery Booster foil list. So we're not going to go through the whole list because,
it's 121 cards.
Yeah,
you can go look at it yourself.
Yeah, there's lots of great content creators that have gone over the list. But there is a lot of value.
I think so too.
In these foils. Yeah, like
there's some pretty cool ones, and then what we're seeing is that we have some that are popular that just haven't been like printed enough, and they're getting this reprint here to maybe help with the price.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of these cards, like we have the heavy hitters like what's the commander? The Esper commander. Send Triplets.
Yeah.
We have Send Triplets, and we have Minamo, School at Water's Edge, and we have there's also that land from Kamigawa, Shinzo.
Yeah.
Death Storehouse. So, we have the heavy hitters that in foil, in foil before these printings were announced, Send Triplets was like in the 160s for the foil.
Which is huge.
It's huge. And that card has seen increased commander play over the past few months.
Yeah.
I don't really know how though, because who's in your play group, who's letting you play that?
Yeah.
But, to each their own. I think Trevor had a Send Triplets deck at one point. What? I wonder if he still has it. I would love to play. I would love for the three of us to play against his tuned Send Triplets deck and see if he can handle being archenemy. No, he'd be fine.
And then there's other cool little ones. I think Boreal Druid is a nice little printing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Cold Snap.
Because it was $25-$30 or something.
Yeah, definitely.
One of my more favorites, Karthus, Tyrant of Jund.
Yes.
Giant Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that one? That one has an attack trigger?
No, it's when it enters the battlefield, you gain control of all dragons.
That's pretty good.
They gain flying and haste.
Yeah, we gotta have haste.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can combo that with Day of the Dragons. You turn everyone else's creatures into dragons, and you play Karthus, and then you just get everything.
Yeah.
It's expensive combo, but
mana-wise,
yes. Mana-wise, yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the values of these original printing foils, they've already taken a hit.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of these foils were very valuable because they had a low supply.
That's the other thing, right?
Not necessarily high demand.
I was looking at a lot of there's a 4 or 5 cold snaps in there and stuff.
Well, Braid of Fire is in there.
Braid of Fire's in there. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Even there was the White Wall from Cold Snap.
With the cumulative upkeep?
It was I was this card's not very playable, and the foil again is $20. You're why?
Cold Snap is why.
Exactly. And so it's nice to see that they're not just printing cards, they're good in this format or whatever. It's these are cards didn't get very much printing people may want, and we're showing that.
And especially for commander decks, right? This is these reprintings are definitely aimed at commander players.
Wall of Shards,
yes, yeah. And so, going back to, talking about the value of these cards, what's great about this is I think we've previously talked about how because of the size of the Mystery Boosters main set, the value of the, chase rares and mythics haven't seen a huge decrease in price.
Because again, it's over 1,600 cards.
Yeah, I think it's closer to 1,200. But anyways, you tell me. You're looking at the webpage.
Yeah, there's 1,694.
Oh wow, okay. So yes, it's just the packs that are going to get open. It's a smaller booster box. The prices per pack are pretty good. Yeah, right? It's almost the price of a standard pack. But even a box going for $100, you're getting fewer packs. So it's just, I think less of the product is going to get opened, and the chances of pulling the really expensive cards are just that much less. But what's great about this foil slot is there's no rarity to it. So you have as much chance of pulling an Iron Mirror as you do a Braid of Fire. Mm-hmm. So I think these cards will continue to go down in value, which is good for players that want to pick them up.
And then also just with the set in general, I think it was a smart idea to do this to kind of supplement the value there a little bit.
Absolutely.
And it's really cool because I think they're doing a pretty good job of printing this kind of chaos draft style of product that we're going to be able to kind of open and play with. So,
yeah. And, I definitely agree that the value's there. And I think that for players that maybe feel like if you have these cards already in foil and, the value is getting hit and that doesn't feel good. But I think the value is going to go back up because I think a lot of these cards are cards that newer commander players or even some seasoned commander players just don't know about.
Totally.
And so they're going to be more sought after because players are going to open them. They're going to see them. They're going to think, oh, this is going to be good in this deck and that deck. Yeah. And, that's how the whole economy works.
Totally. And then I wanted to call out a couple extra cards from even that are seen play in Modern.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Because there's Soul's Attendant, which is good in the Soul Sisters deck. And then they also have Pyretic Ritual, which is being reprinted.
That's right. That's the one that for each card named Pyretic Ritual.
No, it's just another like 2 mana, make 3 mana.
Is that one the spirit or arcane spell one? That you can
No, that one's not that one. I only copied down the names. I didn't copy down the actual
Pyretic
card.
Ritual. So many good rituals. Whew. Hey, if you like rituals, go back and listen to our
I have no internet.
Color Pie series Red, which was
Yeah.
just our last episode. It's got Riley on it, so you know you're going to enjoy it. All right, so shall we move on to the changes to Magic Arena?
Yeah, let's get to talking about some Magic Arena.
So Eric is the Magic Arena aficionado on the show. I'd like to be, and I will one day. We'll get there.
Once it's on Mac.
When it's on Mac, yeah. Or once I break down and buy like $100 Acer laptop. whatever happens
Whichever
first.
comes first, which
Yeah.
I could see being the laptop.
Yeah. So they start off this announcement by talking about the cards that are going to be coming in the Historic Anthology 2.
Yeah, 25 new cards again. We already kind of touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So we'll see what how gameplay ends up turning out. They do have events starting today for Historic. So,
Yeah, Historic Ranked and Historic Traditional Ranked.
Yeah. And then they have a neat little thing called the Workshop Heirlooms of History. I don't quite know what that is. So they just have other like fun events where they do different things with the cards.
Yep.
March 20th to April 4th, they're doing Historic Pauper. So that should be interesting.
Love me some Pauper.
Yeah.
But, that's pretty limiting, right?
I still think with the card pool, like they did do like Pauper, even in like the current standard and stuff, I still feel it's very limited.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they'll get there. They're working on it.
Yeah. Next up, they do tie in like the secret layer a little bit, so you'll be getting the card sleeves of the art if you do buy one of those, which they've done in the past. But I think you get all 4 this time. So
Yeah, and if you don't want to buy the secret layer, you can also just buy the sleeves if you're so inclined.
yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's just like not gating people off from things. So that's always nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up is a thing that I think is awesome. Direct messaging.
Direct
You can
messaging.
talk to people on Magic Arena.
But only if they're already your friends. They have to be
Yeah.
on your friends list.
Kind of like Hearthstone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever had people on Hearthstone, like after you have a match, like they try and friend you right away?
Yeah, they do, and it'll be like, why are you playing? I get a lot of, why are you playing that deck in casual?
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'm not playing I don't play like mech hand buff or even shaman in casual wild. I'm playing like I play for you Hearthstone players, I play this I play like a rogue deck. So what I do is I have N'Zoth as like a finisher, and I have Togwaggle Scheme, which upgrades every turn, and Togwaggle Scheme shuffles 1 minion into your deck. So you just leave it in your hand and it upgrades every turn. Eventually, it gets up to like a dozen. And you play a bunch of Death Rattle taunt minions that have effects that gain you life. And so you play N'Zoth, fill up your board with your taunt minions that add Death Rattle and gained you life. You Shadow Step N'Zoth back to your hand, so he costs 8. You play him. You play Togwaggle Scheme, or you play. Is it? I think he's called Laboratory Maniac. Actually, isn't that funny? And then you can just go infinite, doing like shuffling those 2 minions into your deck, and it's super fun. But it's not a competitive deck.
Yeah.
It sucks. So yeah, I get a lot of. That's usually why people message me, or they'll friend me, and they'll use some unkind words. I'm not going to repeat them on the show, but
I remember a couple times I was like adding people, and they'd always have like something not good to say. They were like something about the deck I was playing. I was like, I don't care, so I just stopped friending people because I was like, yeah, it's never about, hey, you want to play within the game. It's always about like trash talk.
Yes, or like my brother Jeff, like he'll friend people and say like, oh, like he'll try to give them tips.
Oh,
about their deck, like, hey, you're playing with this card. This, like, you could be playing with this card.
Yeah,
Let's be friends.
that's cool.
Yeah. Anyways, Direct
but yeah.
messaging.
So I can totally see something like that happening with Arena. But it is nice that they are starting to add this feature in, because you can now talk to your friends list and stuff on Magic Arena. So
Yeah, it seems like that would be one of the first things you would do. But whatever.
I mean, like, they could also seen, like, if you're on a PC, like, you're like, oh, you have some sort of other application you're talking to your friends through already, like Discord.
Sure.
So it's like, it's not a priority, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's true, because it is purely a PC interface.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think as the game grows, it's good to at least have that feature in there. So
and especially if and when they bring it to mobile,
yeah,
you're just have that one application open, so you want to be able to
chat inside of it,
communicate, because otherwise you'd have to leave the application,
which is not fun on a phone.
Or I guess you could do direct message your phone numbers, and then you could call each other and talk to each other while you're playing on the phone. But the phone's a little outdated, if you ask me. I never talk on the phone. And apparently you can earn quest progress by challenging your friends.
That's cool.
So that's nice.
Yeah, because they always have, you get a daily quest. So you can always just complete that, get some gold.
Get some gold, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't include the daily and weekly wins, because they're also, like, on top of that. Per week you get like 15 wins, and you get like experience and gold for that. So it doesn't count towards that, so you can't just like easily grind that stuff out.
Right.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
But it's cool they're doing the other ones, so I like it.
Yeah, and on top of that, they're also adding emotes. So what they're adding is you're going to be able to say thanks, and you're also going to be able to say sorry.
Yeah. So on your emote spot, you always have 5 emotes.
Yeah.
And so what happens if the spot, like where it says nice, if someone says nice to you, the nice turns into thanks. So it's not always there. It's only when somebody has used that, then your nice would turn into thanks. Same thing if you say oops, the oops will turn into a sorry if you're the other player.
I'm glad you said that, because before I started playing Hearthstone a couple years ago, in the emotes, they had a sorry.
Yeah.
And so what would happen is some people are jerks, and if you would, when you're about to win the game, you'd say sorry.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel good. That's why in Hearthstone you can just squelch your opponents.
Stop talking.
So they can't talk to you. But I know, like, I'm not, like, I don't overdo it with the emotes, but if I'm about to win the game, I do say thank you. And I don't say it in, like, a sincere way.
Say thanks for the game.
Like, thanks for losing. That's actually really good, is that it's prompt, and you can't just sit there saying sorry
all the time. Yeah.
Because that can be meant the wrong way, and it can be taken that way.
It can.
So that's not good.
I thought it was really cool how they actually did that. So
yeah, I do like that a lot.
Yeah. You can. They do have good game as one of them, so there's a lot of time where people are just kind of good game.
Do you ever start off a match by saying good game?
No.
No?
I'm not one of those people.
You wait? Is there a squelch function where you can turn it off? Okay.
There is, yeah. So you can do that as well. Yeah.
If you just, I don't want any part of it.
Yeah. But I've had people do like an early good game, and I'm like, I'm get you.
You're like, well, now it's not good. It's going to, for me, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Next up in this announcement, we have Cube Sealed. Yeah.
So this is, I think the Cube Sealed is cool, and there's also a little tidbit of information in here that I really, really like. Maybe I'll just read it like right off.
Just read it off the webpage.
Yeah, so just their beginning paragraph here. Okay, first off, yes, we know a lot of you want Cube Draft, and yes, we want it too. Given our intended goals for the Cube Draft with the cards and packed collation we intend to use, we don't believe it would be a fun environment for drafting with bots. So in brackets, so you can probably guess what we need to implement first.
That's right.
That's the part I like the most, because I do enjoy draft a lot.
Yeah.
And drafting against bots is a very different experience compared to drafting against actual people.
Well, we were talking before we started recording the show today, and you were talking about back in beta when Amonkhet was available to draft, and there was a mill sub strategy in the set, and the bots would never take those cards.
So actually, We're getting two things mixed up here. We were talking about Amonkhet, but this was actually in Throne of Eldraine super recently.
Oh, okay.
There was the mill strategy. And so the bots wouldn't take the mill cards. And so if you saw the cards right away, you could take them and you would have a good mill deck.
Right.
That was really hard to battle against.
Isn't that fun? That just like a little loophole like that.
Yeah, because the cards obviously on themselves are never good, so the bots would just never pick them.
Right.
And you're like, I can just get a good mill deck. It's like...
I love a good mill deck.
Okay, I do too. But it's like you just saw that deck for a bit running rampant because you could so easily get it a good deck a lot of the time.
Yes, and that wouldn't happen, certainly not to that often with other human beings.
Drafting with other players, because they would see like, oh, you know, if you kind of know the cards and you don't need, if you have a bad pack, you're like, well, I'm going to take something that's part of like a combo or something.
And that's such a huge part of draft is, you know, you can get an idea of what the people to the left and right of you, what colors they're going for. You can kind of control to a certain extent what cards they take.
Yeah.
And you can, to a certain extent, also hate out you know, people to the left or right of you.
Yeah.
So like the
and it's like also people in the same pod might be going for the same thing. So you have multiple people going for the mill strategy. Mm-hmm. There'd be less of those cards around.
Exactly.
While with the bots, you're like, I'm always going to have those cards.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that is definitely a good sign that they're moving in that direction. Yeah. They do have on the pack art here. They have that is the Invention Manival art.
Yeah, that is.
And
it's a nice art for a pack.
I wonder if that'll be in there because we do have the Moxen and Black Lotus on Arena, right?
Yeah.
So like that could be. That could be potentially part of it. I doubt that they'll do that.
I don't think they will from just what they're saying.
That's a little OP for sure. Even Manival's pretty OP.
Yeah. So it's just supposed to be the cards in Historic 1 and 2 and then what's currently there. So
yeah.
But they will be doing a cube draft. Cube sealed, sorry.
Yeah, and it's their first Phantom event.
Correct,
that they'll be doing. So for those of you that don't know what a Phantom event is, it's not free. You just don't get to keep the cards, and it's at a reduced cost. Like on MTGO, it's a Phantom events costs less than what the regular draft would cost when you get to keep the cards, right?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, so
you will still get a prize as well. Like you may like win a card for your collection, or like maybe gold or gems. But yeah, the cards you actually get from the packs, you don't keep any of those.
Yeah, and for this event specifically, they say that it means that the rarity distribution doesn't matter, and you may end up with a lot more than 6 rares or mythic rares in your sealed pool.
Which is the fun part about Cube.
God, I love Cube.
Yeah.
It's just...
So I'm definitely going to jump into this event
so
when it... I don't think they have a date on it yet, do they?
Well, the game update is scheduled for today.
More details
when we're recording.
List later this month.
Yeah, so they'll let you know, and you'll have to let all of us know.
I sure will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get together with Rylan and get that cube going again. It's just
it's so
like,
fun.
What do I don't know what to take. It's all so good.
They're all good cards. Even talking about drafting as bots, I think I did a draft like a few days ago on Arena, and I got like 5. I want to say like 5 rares in a row.
Wow.
They were all the best rares, but it's still like, you don't see like 5 rares in a row. Like,
that's ridiculous. All right, folks. Well, we are going to wrap this episode up. I think that's everything, right?
I think that's it.
Yeah. So if you want to get in touch with us, have any questions, you can, of course, email us at turn1soaring@gmail.com. And before you hop to the next episode, go ahead and check out all the links in the show notes, including our Instagram giveaway for this month. We also want to thank our lovely editor, Ainsley, for editing the show each week.
It's a lot of work, so thank you so much.
It is a lot of work. We're really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you guys are getting the finished product. You don't want to know.
You don't want to see
what. There's a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just leave it at that. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this special Friday episode.
Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Turn one soul ring.